The accompanying data are the length in centimeters and girths in centimeters of 12 harbor seals. Find the equation of the regression line, then construct a scatter plot of the data and draw the regression line. Then use the regression equation to predict the value of y for each of the given x values, if meaningful. If the x value is not meaningful to predict the value of y, explain why not. A, x equals 140 centimeters, B, x equals 172 centimeters, C, x equals 164 centimeters, D, x equals 158 centimeters. First thing we need to do is go ahead and create the equation of the regression line and also create the graph. So the first thing we're going to do is left click this icon that I just clicked, and up pops this pop-up window. I'm going to move this over to the side, and we'll left click this icon, and we are going to open this in StatCrunch. This is going to be where all the data is going to be worked on, and we'll go ahead and we'll left click Stat. We're going to do a regression, simple linear, so highlight regression and left click simple linear. The only thing I need to worry about here is the fact that I want to select my x variable, which is length, and select my y variable, which is girth. Left click compute, and we have quite a bit of information that is given to us. Remember that we're looking to find the equation of the regression line. Well, the equation of the regression line is simply right here. It's a little backwards than what's given in my stat lab, but this 0.6440,163, that is going to be our slope for the equation. That's the coefficient of x. But notice that this says rounded 2 decimal places as needed, so we will round 0.66460163 to 0.66. So we'll type that in right here, 0.66. This is going to be the y-intercept, which is this value right here, and that's 14.500242, but once again we're going to round that to 2 decimal places, so it'll be 14.50. We want to left click check answer down here in the lower right hand corner, and you'll see that we have the correct regression line now. Now we want to construct a scatter plot. We'll construct a scatter plot of the data and draw the regression line. Plot length on the horizontal axis and girth on the vertical axis. Choose the correct graph below. Well, we'll see a couple of things. First off, let's go ahead and get rid of this, is I have 4 graphs here. And I've already created a graph. If we left click this arrow right here inside StatCrunch, we have a graph. We'll notice that this is a positive linear or a positive correlation. It is linear, and that means that we can go ahead and ignore the 2 graphs that are not linear. Well, graph C doesn't work for us because it's a broken line graph, and graph B won't work. It is linear, but it is a horizontal. So now I need to compare the graph that's right here in my stat lab with either one of these graphs. And you'll notice that this graph here, part A, does not have any points or very few points above the line, whereas this graph has a number of points above the line, so we will left click D. I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to check answer, and we have a nice work. All right, part A, predict the girth for a length of 140 centimeters. If it is meaningful, select the correct choice below, and if necessary, fill in the answer box with your choice. So, going back to the lengths and girths, this value, 140 centimeters, is something that we need to look at and see if it is in my data table up here. Well, 140 centimeters is not contained in here, but 140 centimeters definitely falls within the data range because the smallest data value that we have is 123. So in order to predict this, we're going to need to use the equation that we had first come up with. So that's going to be y equals 14.5 plus 0.66x. And if you remember, it is listed up here. So go ahead and type in into your calculator, key in 0.66 times 140 plus 14.5 and press equals to get your answer. And that gives 106.9. I'll type that in and then I'll just press my enter key to see if I've gotten it correct, and I have. So I press OK and I move on. This one says predict the girth for a length of 172 centimeters if it is meaningful. Well, if you notice, 172 is far outside the data range in this table, so it is not meaningful, and we will left click C because it makes no sense to use this to predict a value. Press enter, and we've once again done the problem correctly. So let's predict the girth for a length of 164 centimeters. 164 centimeters is definitely inside the data table, and so we'll type in 0.66 times 164 plus 14.5, and that will give 122.74. Press enter or click check answer, and then we move on to the last one of 158 centimeters. Now, check to see if 158 would fall within the data range, and it does, so we can go ahead and type in 0.66 times 158 plus 14.5, which is equal to 118.78. And we hit enter, and we have finished the problem. And we've used StatCrunch to do the heavy lifting for us.